My name is Miranda, and I'm a 25-year-old woman who has had her fair share of unsettling experiences with stalkers and online harassment. It's truly alarming how social media has made it so easy for such incidents to occur these days. One evening, at around 8:50, I received an email that immediately set off warning bells in my head. It claimed that I was being sued by some random company and me to click on a link to a website for more information. Looking back, I should have known better than to open that email, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on the link, unaware of the chaos it would unleash. As soon as I clicked the link, my computer started acting bizarrely. It became glitchy, unresponsive, and no matter how many times I restarted it, the issues persisted. It was frustratingly slow, and strange sound effects would randomly play, adding to the eerie atmosphere. I knew deep down that my computer had been infected by a virus, but I had no idea how extensive the damage would be. The next day, my friends started bombarding me with texts asking about a strange Instagram post. Panic flooded my veins as I quickly opened the app, only to find myself logged out of my own account. It was a chilling realization that someone had hacked me. If they had my Instagram password, who knew what other personal information they had obtained? To my horror, the post on my Instagram turned out to be an embarrassing cartoon meme. I felt humiliated and violated. I had to regain control of my account immediately. Changing the password was my first priority, followed by setting my profile to private. I posted a story, explaining that I had been hacked and that the previous posts were not from me. But the nightmare didn't end there. Within minutes, my Snapchat notifications started blowing up with messages from a random account that had added me. I hesitated, unsure of what to do, but curiosity and fear pushed me to answer the persistent calls. What I saw on the other end sent chills down my spine. It was a fraction of a young man's face, a disturbing smile carved into it. The way he said hello was unnaturally stretched out, making my skin crawl. I desperately tried to understand what this stranger wanted, hoping to negotiate the return of my Instagram account. But his responses grew creepier and more unsettling by the minute. He claimed to see me every day, expressing his warped admiration for my beauty. According to him, hacking me was the only way to grab my attention. Feeling trapped and frightened, I made a decision that still sends shivers down my spine. I agreed to be his digital girlfriend just to regain control of my account. It was a terrifying compromise, but I felt there was no other way out. He introduced himself as John and provided me with the password to my Instagram account. I quickly changed it, set my profile to private, and posted another story, making it clear that the previous posts were not mine. While playing along to buy time, I confided in my friends, desperately seeking their advice on how to handle this nightmare. They unanimously urged me to activate two-factor verification on my Instagram account, deactivate it temporarily, and block John. Determined to reclaim my freedom, I followed their advice, hoping it would bring an end to this torment. Unfortunately, John didn't take kindly to being blocked. Just an hour later, my Snapchat exploded with messages from a new user, undoubtedly John. I hesitated, contemplating whether to open them or not. The messages contained threats, claiming that he knew where I lived and that blocking him was a foolish move. Terrified and realizing the situation had escalated beyond my control, I confided in my parents. They were deeply concerned for my safety and wasted no time in contacting the police. However, it soon became clear that the authorities had limited knowledge about hacking incidents and were unsure of how to assist me. It was a frustrating realization, but I refused to let fear consume me. In a bold move, I decided to send a snap of the police car back to John, accompanied by a caption warning him that his actions would result in his arrest. To my relief, he opened the snap and immediately blocked me. It seemed my plan had worked, and I finally had some semblance of control over the situation. While my story had a relatively happy ending compared to others, the experience was still deeply unsettling. It served as a stark reminder of the terrifying power some individuals hold over our lives in the online realm. The amount of personal information that can be obtained and exploited is absolutely frightening. It's a wake-up call for all of us to be vigilant, take precautions, and protect ourselves in this ever-connected digital world. When I was 17, my curiosity led me down a forbidden path. A close friend whispered about an underground realm known as the Abyss Nexus, a hidden network that catered to all sorts of illicit activities. I had no intentions of engaging in such endeavors, but youthful recklessness got the better of me. I convinced myself that acquiring Adderall would enhance my senior projects, my misguided attempt at seeking an edge. Intrigued by the secretive nature of the Abyss Nexus, I delved deeper, stumbling upon a virtual marketplace called Elysium Bazaar. It was a haven for forbidden commodities, ranging from counterfeit currency to even more sinister offerings like weapons. The allure of this hidden world intoxicated me, urging me to explore further into the abyss. Within the depths of Elysium Bazaar, I discovered a mysterious link shared by an anonymous user. It led to an enigmatic chat room where participants touted their wares with reckless abandon. The conversations were a chaotic mix of languages, making it difficult to discern their true intentions. Yet, one user stood out amidst the chaos, reaching out to me with a simple "yo." Curiosity piqued, I responded with an equally nonchalant "yo" and engaged in conversation. He asked how I stumbled upon the link, and I explained my serendipitous encounter with the Abyss Nexus. In return, he shared a cryptic smile and sent me a link without uttering a word. Hesitant but unable to resist the allure of the unknown, I clicked on the enigmatic link. The page slowly materialized before me, a stark black background, a solitary text box, and an eerie video that gradually materialized. It was a monochromatic spectacle, featuring a dimly lit room adorned with lifeless mannequin-like figures seated in wooden chairs. The grainy footage added an unsettling aura, blurring the line between reality and fiction. Just as I began questioning the nature of this peculiar streaming video, a jarring moment shattered my composure. One of the figures, initially perceived as a mannequin, sprang to life, hurtling towards the camera with a cacophony of static screams. The grotesque porcelain mask filled the screen, plunging me into darkness. Shaken, I returned to the chat room, seeking answers from the enigmatic user who had linked me there. To my dismay, his presence had vanished, leaving me alone with my bewildered thoughts. As I shifted back to the video window, it had transformed into a void, a blank screen with an idle text box. Attempting to regain control, I found myself unable to type anything, trapped in a digital purgatory. Suddenly, my Tor browser window abruptly closed, as if seized by an unseen force. An ominous, raspy voice emanated from my speakers, distorted and disguised. It addressed me by my first name, asserting dominance over my digital existence, claiming possession of my files. Panic surged through my veins as the webcam activated, projecting my own face onto the screen. Desperate for salvation, I hastily powered off my laptop and sought refuge in the expertise of the Geek Squad at the store where I had purchased the computer. The technician suspected a breach, a cunning intrusion into the depths of my digital life. He advised a complete factory reset, erasing all traces of the malevolent presence that had invaded my world. With his guidance, I embarked on the arduous process, bidding farewell to a few inconsequential files and embracing the chance for a fresh start. That encounter with the Abyss Nexus left an indelible mark on my psyche, a stark reminder of the dangers lurking within the depths of the internet's underbelly. If there's one lesson to be learned from my harrowing experience, it is this. Should you ever find yourself venturing into the forbidden realms of the web, a VPN is your only shield against the malevolent forces that lie in wait. It was a quiet evening in my small town of Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. At 24 years old, I preferred keeping my social circle tight-knit, consisting mainly of a few close friends and my co-workers. Living in a close-knit community, I never thought anyone would be out to harm me in any way. To pass the time, I often found myself browsing Reddit. It was a platform where I actively posted and engaged with the online community. One night, out of sheer boredom, I opened my browser and noticed a new message notification. This wasn't unusual, as I frequently received messages from people referencing my posts. Curiosity piqued, I clicked on the message request from an unfamiliar, now-deleted username. The message simply read, "Check your email, your spam folder specifically." Perplexed, I replied, "Huh, why? Who's this?" Meanwhile, I quickly accessed my Gmail account and navigated to the spam folder. Among the usual clutter, one email stood out. Its subject line screamed in all caps, "I know who you are." My heart raced and sank simultaneously as I opened the email. Inside, a paragraph of personal information awaited me, my full name, my Reddit password, and even my home address. The sender also included chilling threats, demanding a one-time payment of $5,000 through a specific Bitcoin wallet address. A wave of helplessness washed over me, as if the entire world was collapsing around me. Acting quickly, I covered my laptop's webcam with a piece of tape, fearing prying eyes. Returning to Reddit, I hoped the sender would respond to my message. Unfortunately, they remained silent, ignoring my inquiries. In a panic, I reported the account on Reddit, though I doubted it would yield any immediate results. Desperate for answers, I replied to the email, copying and pasting my previous message, demanding to know who they were, how they obtained my information, and whether this was all some sick prank. Within minutes, a reply arrived, the words in all capitals conveying their seriousness. They denied it being a prank, asserting that they possessed all my information, including my address. Their ultimatum was clear: comply with their demands, and they would leave me alone. Paying $5,000 was out of the question. I barely made enough money to get by. Fearing the worst, I reached out to my friends, imploring them to be honest if they were behind this sick game. None of them confessed, and given my threat to involve the police, I knew it wasn't any of them. I racked my brain, searching for anyone at work who might harbor ill feelings toward me, but my relationships with my colleagues were amicable. I reluctantly concluded that my password might have been stolen by malware or a hacker, who then used it to obtain the rest of my personal information. The question loomed: should I pay the ransom? Absolutely not. Resolute in my decision, I forced myself to sleep, leaving my laptop dormant for the entire next day. When I returned home from work, I opted to use my desktop instead, changing passwords for all other websites and apps on my phone as a precautionary measure. Late that night, curiosity and nerves got the better of me, and I logged onto my laptop. As I scanned through my computer, everything appeared normal. I cautiously opened Reddit, only to find that the user who had messaged me was now deleted. Seeking solace and advice, I turned to a subreddit dedicated to discussing computer hackers and scams. There, I shared my harrowing experience. Little did I know that my actions would unwittingly invite further trouble. At some point during my browsing, I noticed a subtle change in the taskbar at the bottom of my screen, a darkened hue. Intrigued, I minimized all my windows, and to my horror, I realized my desktop wallpaper had been altered. The image captured the outside of my bedroom window, the white frame of the windowsill distinctly visible. The camera's flash had even caught me sleeping in bed. Within seconds, a pop-up window materialized, accompanied by the infamous Windows error sound. Inside the pop-up, an arrow pointed to the word "pay," followed by a winking face. My heart raced as I snapped my laptop shut, abruptly shutting it down by holding the power button. Hastily, I lowered my blinds and phoned my parents, fortunate that it was still early enough to reach them. Overwhelmed with fear, I confessed to my father over the phone about the hacker who had obtained my personal information. Without hesitation, he rushed to my aid, arriving in his truck to help me quickly load any valuable belongings. We planned to take them to my parents' place where I could find temporary refuge. Before we drove away from my apartment, my dad unleashed a torrent of threats into the night sky, his voice echoing with fury. It was a dramatic scene, but my overwhelming worry eclipsed any potential embarrassment. For weeks, I stayed with my parents, avoiding my apartment and the unsettling memories associated with it. Together, we contacted the local police and filed a report, providing them with all the details of the cyber attack and the ongoing harassment. The police, though sympathetic, explained that these cases were challenging to investigate, often involving sophisticated hackers who covered their digital tracks well. They assured me that they would do what they could, but warned that it might be difficult to identify and apprehend the perpetrator. In the meantime, I took steps to secure my online presence. I changed passwords for all my accounts, enabled two-factor authentication wherever possible, and educated myself on best practices for online security. I also reached out to a cybersecurity professional for advice and had them perform a thorough audit of my devices and network. As time went on, the hackers' messages became less frequent, though I couldn't shake off the constant feeling of being watched. It took a toll on my mental well-being, leaving me on edge and paranoid. I sought therapy to help me cope with the anxiety and fear that had consumed me. Slowly, I began to regain a sense of normalcy. With the support of my family and friends, I felt less alone in my ordeal. Together, we established a network of trust and vigilance, keeping an eye out for any suspicious activities or signs of further intrusion. Months passed, and the hacker's presence in my life seemed to fade away. The police investigation yielded no significant breakthroughs, but the incident served as a stark reminder of the importance of online safety and protecting personal information. I decided to use my experience to raise awareness about cybersecurity and the potential dangers of online harassment. I started volunteering at local community centers, delivering workshops on digital safety and offering guidance to those who had encountered similar situations. By sharing my story, I hope to empower others to take proactive steps in safeguarding their online identities. While I still carried the scars of that traumatic period, I refused to let fear dictate my life. I continued to participate in online communities, albeit with increased caution and awareness. I remained vigilant, regularly updating my security measures and staying informed about emerging threats. Over time, I managed to regain a sense of security and trust in the digital world. The incident had forever changed me, but it also made me stronger. I was determined to turn my negative experience into a force for good, advocating for safer online practices and supporting others who had fallen victim to cybercrime. As the years went by, I moved on with my life, pursuing new opportunities and focusing on personal growth. While the memory of that harrowing experience lingered, it no longer defined me. Instead, it became a reminder of the resilience I had discovered within myself and the importance of standing up to those who seek to harm others in the digital realm.